as we do this broadcast live at 8:15 p.m. on the East Coast, Wednesday, December 13th, the House just moments ago passed a formal impeachment inquiry into President Joe Biden. That was just hours after his son Hunter was due to testify at a closed-door deposition. He showed up to Washington, D.C., but rather than go and do the deposition, he held a surprise press conference outside of the Capitol in very defiant mood here, basically saying that he's not willing to testify privately. He will only do so publicly, and takes his shots at the GOP opposition. So let's hear Hunter. This was hours ago today.
I am first and foremost a son, a father, a brother, and a husband from a loving and supportive family. I'm proud to have earned degrees from Georgetown University and Yale Law School. I'm proud of my legal career.
Where I picked up a hell of a case of the clap.
Business career.
But that's cleared up now.
I'm proud of my time serving on a dozen different boards of directors. And I'm proud of my efforts to forge global business relationships.
By that, I mean my prodigious use of escort services.
MAGA Republicans.
I love that. I am proud to have forged global business relationships. Really doubling down on the, hey, my name had nothing to do with me getting that job. I just happen to be an expert on forging global business relationships. And right. I'm very proud of my record and service.
Well, that's the whole point of this. He's laying out his degrees to create a patina of credibility to his business career.
Exactly.
As if he's an accomplished guy who just did a little blow and, had a weakness for the women of the evening.
Including members of the House committees who are in a closed-door session right now, have impugned my character, invaded my privacy, attacked my wife, my children,
is that
my
his brother's
family,
wife, or is that a
and my
different
friends.
one?
I don't know.
They have ridiculed my struggle with addiction. They belittled my recovery, and they have tried to dehumanize me, all to embarrass and damage my father, who has devoted his entire public life to service.
And by service, I mean devoted most of his public life, or at least a good portion of his public life, to dehumanizing drug addicts and locking them in jail. That's why there's not a lot of sympathy for him. I mean, I don't have any hatred for this guy, but given the circumstances, isn't it ironic, to have this ne'er-do-well son who is on camera doing things that Joe Biden would lock you in jail for 10 to 20 years for doing, right? That was the whole crack cocaine versus powder cocaine sentencing disparity that was part of that crime bill. That's why there's not much sympathy for Hunter. I don't have a hard-on for Hunter the way a lot of people do. I really don't care much about his personal life. But the fact that he is defying the subpoena is potentially significant. But we have a few seconds here, so I'll let this play out.
For 6 years, I have been the target of the unrelenting Trump attack machine, shouting, "Where's Hunter?" Well, here's my answer. I am here.
You're here. You're outside, but you're supposed to be inside doing the deposition. So we got one more video to play, and then we'll talk about this a little bit. Here's Marjorie Taylor Greene after Hunter skipped out on the deposition and instead set the cameras up outside.
Follow the process for contempt of Congress, which absolutely should be done. Hunter Biden refusing to show up today is unacceptable. President Trump's own children sat for hours and hours, 7, 8, 9 hours each of them, in front of Democrat-led committees. Why is it a double standard for the Biden family? Hunter Biden clearly is trying to hide and cover up the money laundering and the abuse of power that he and his father are guilty of by not refusing to show up today, as well as Mann Act violations, which I had specific questions for him on those issues that we have evidence on.
What do you make of this press conference he had outside the front of the Capitol and then just not coming across the street to your committee?
Oh, I mean, he's obviously guilty. He went out there in front of the press and spread all of his lies, but he wouldn't come in here under oath. That's someone that is clearly trying to hide the truth from the American people. We were even willing to bring cameras in here for him today, but he refused to show up. He went out and played the show in front of the circus and then refused to come in here and follow the law, which he absolutely should do. And there should not be a double standard between the Biden family and the Trump family, but there clearly is. Hunter Biden thinks he's above the law, and apparently Joe Biden thinks so too.
So obviously, much of the dispute is that Hunter wants to testify in public, not in private. Now, to me, the problem with that theory is that Hunter can tell his side of the story to whoever he wants to, right? I mean, there's nothing stopping Hunter Biden. God bless you. There's nothing stopping Hunter Biden from sitting down for an interview with even a hostile interviewer, right? Go on Fox News if you want to hash this out in public, right? If you want to take hostile incoming and be able to, swat down these Republican trolls, I mean, you can tell your story. He's not under a gag order, to my knowledge, right? So why not do that? I was talking to, let's say, a lawyer. I can't say who they are because I don't want to get them in trouble with their lawyer job. But I was talking to a lawyer this afternoon about this, and the lawyer said, every small delay in the process, like when you do a thing like this, skipping a deposition and gumming up the works, every small delay is in service of a larger delay, right? You're just stonewalling. And whether they're stonewalling until the end of the primary calendar to make sure that this can't blow up in the president's face while there's still time to swap him out, that could be something. They may be trying to stonewall for a whole year until after November 2024. But they said whenever you have someone who's on the receiving end of a lawsuit or a criminal investigation, whenever they delay, they're delaying in order to delay more. Delays beget more delays, and that's the point. So he put on this surprise press conference here, but these are exactly. But this is a stall tactic in service of what? It'd be impossible to say for sure, I guess, but that's the way it looks to me.
Well, it's also a battle for control of the narrative. This is a plea to all the MSNBC libs to rally around Hunter. Look at the injustice that's been done. And obviously, if you attached the fact pattern of the Biden family to the Trump family, they would see the corruption very quickly.
It's about as obvious as anything.
Sure. And it's a lot more obvious than things they are still hopping up and down about regarding the Trump family. There is much more clear evidence of real impactful criminality of a type that is truly impactful to the nation's foreign policy than there ever was with the Trump family. Is the Trump family corrupt? Sure. Nancy Pelosi outperforms all the world's greatest investors every single year without fail. So you don't give a fuck about corruption. If you did, you'd be locking up Nancy Pelosi, and that's very obvious to people. You opened up this door, and when you say that, they'll say, but he was corrupt. Yeah, you don't care about corruption. If you really cared about it, there are a lot of people you'd go after on your own team, which you don't. So it was never about corruption with Trump. That's not the reason that you went after Trump. You weaponized the justice system. You broke that gentleman's agreement. You broke the agreement between the two parties. Hey, listen, I'm not going to tell anybody I saw you here. You don't tell anybody you saw me here, all right? And we don't go in that direction. You went in that direction. You opened the door now. If you hadn't done that to Trump, would they be doing this? Maybe. I think it's a lot less likely.
I think it's a lot less likely, too. It's a lot less likely. And as you said, this corruption does have a huge impact on the foreign policy of the country. When I say I have no hatred for Hunter, I mean, I don't pass judgment on the crack and the hookers or whatever. Not that I would necessarily condone it, but whatever. It's not, I'm not morally outraged over that. The influence peddling in a country like, I don't know, Ukraine? Yeah, that's a big problem. That's a big problem, of course. He sat on an energy board of a country. His salary was cut in half after Joe Biden retired from the vice presidency. Big red flag, cut in half when your father's no longer vice president. And who's the big guy in these years? 10% for the big guy. Hunter. Right. If you want to tell your side of the story, if you don't want to do this in private, which, by the way, it's standard practice, according to my lawyer contact, that the deposition be in private, and then the trial, the testimony, the hearings, those are public. But as a first step, the deposition's almost always in private. Now, according to Marjorie Taylor Greene, we just saw in that video, they were prepared for him to bring the cameras in anyway. I assume they would have just gone through with it if he did that.
That just blows that away.
Right, that just blows that away.
They're trying to make the claim, well, he was afraid they would leak things out of context. Well, okay, if they were willing to put cameras in there, then that's no excuse. Now,
also, you have a transcription. A deposition, there's a transcriber there, unless that person's in on it too. I mean, now you're getting into ridiculous paranoid territory.
No, this is for the MSNBC libs. This is for them. What do you think their reaction was to this? They're all sitting around tonight watching Chris Hayes, who they all wish were their grandson. Oh, yeah, Chris, you tell him, Hunter, you don't take any shit from these people. That's right. They didn't care about corruption with Trump. They didn't care. That's it. That's who this is for. And you're right. They're trying to gum it up legally, but they're also trying to gum it up PR-wise. This is like, that was clearly crafted by smarter people than Hunter to try to get control of the narrative around this, to try to frame it with their remaining supporters as just the Republicans on a fishing expedition. Nothing to see here. Yeah, 10% for the big guy.
Why didn't you tell us who the big guy was at that press conference? Just say who it was. If it wasn't your dad, say it. Say who it is. Nobody's stopping you.
Please clap.